UvaldeRadio.net. Once again, Robert Miguel here with you on a feature for School Choice Week. As I've stated earlier, school choice means giving parents access to the best K through 12 education options for their kids. These options include traditional public schools, public charter schools, magnet schools, private schools, online academies, and homeschooling. And this week, we are recognizing National School Choice Week by interviewing principals, administrators, leaders at some of Uvalde's premier private and charter schools. So with me on the phone, the return of the head of school at the Uvalde Classical Academy, Ms. Larri Ann Wright. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's been a while. It's been a year.
A year.
So thanks for doing this School Choice Week thing with us. And you're an old pro. We've talked a couple of times over the years about this. So first of all, how's everything going in your personal life? I know 2 years now of a pandemic. Things are getting better. Now here locally in Uvalde, things seem to be spiking up. How are you guys personally doing, you and yours?
We are actually doing better than we deserve. Everything's been great. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good. Glad to hear that. And how about we're at Uvalde Classical? How's the school year going thus far?
We cannot complain. The school year has been fantastic. We've had, of course, our few cases pop up here and there, but overall, our school has been well. Everybody's been happy to be here full-time, in person. Trying to carry on as best we can as if things are normal out and about.
I guess before we get into the meat of the interview, do you guys have any cool, I know you guys do fundraisers occasionally and events, anything just kind of off the top of your head that's coming up here in the near future we should write down on our calendar?
We do, yes. April 30th is our annual spring golf scramble, hopefully having it here again at the Uvalde golf course. That's our main annual fundraiser for our general fund. We have some smaller little in-house fundraisers that our 5th graders through 12th graders are conducting right now because they raise their own money to attend their overnight spring trips to various places across the state or across the country.
I know y'all do like a big garage sale, right, or yard sale? Something like that?
We do, actually, yes. That's coming up on April 2nd. We're actually this year going to have that right here at the school, so it'll be, weather permitting, it'll be back in our playground area and behind the building. If it's inclement weather, we'll move it indoors.
So Larri Ann, let's go ahead and give everybody a brief history about yourself. Go ahead and give us your history, as, I guess, head of school, instructor, education in general. How did you start? And give us kind of the synopsis of your journey.
Sure. So I've been with UCA since it was formed by parents, for parents. We started in a living room when my son was just beginning school age, my youngest son actually, and I've been with the school ever since then in the capacity of parent, then later on as teacher, periodically as a board member when I wasn't teaching full-time, and then transitioned to head of school about 3 years ago, I guess.
Now, if I recall, you made it sound a few years ago, maybe even as recent as last year, that this head of school thing might just kind of be a temporary gig. You almost made it sound like you accepted it reluctantly. Am I off base by saying that?
That would be a truth.
Okay.
So I am here for as long as I need to be. We are actually, coincidentally, in search of a head of school right now. So I am not going to leave the school until they've decided they've found a suitable replacement. But I'm in grandma mode these days, so I'm ready for a little more flexibility. But I love UCA, so I will be here and be involved probably until the day I die in some form or fashion.
Well, clearly you've got just a genuine heart for the whole thing. So I'm glad they've got you because, yeah, unless they can find somebody better, right? Why trade down?
Well, that finding someone better is probably not that difficult, honestly.
So humble. Again, Larri Ann Wright here, head of school over at the Uvalde Classical Academy. That's over on North Getty. Is it 400? What's the address?
400 North Getty. We are right next door to the Chamber of Commerce. And give us a history. Oh, that building used to be a bank or a savings and loan, or what was? Yes, I believe it was in maybe the 70s or 80s.
Right.
All the time it was a savings and loan. Then it was the charter school for a while, sat empty for a while, and then a family purchased the building later donating the building to us, and we've since added on a grammar school building and an art building. So we're building as we go.
I guess as the number of students grows, your campus, you've been adding on to it. Are there any other immediate plans for additions on the campus-wise, I guess?
Not at this time, no. I think we're right where we need to be as far as what this property and what the building can allow us. Plus, we don't want to become too terribly much bigger than what we are. Most of our classes are at what their classroom cap is, which we cap our classroom sizes at 10 students per grade level or classroom anyway. And so this building accommodates that, and we've pretty much met that goal. So we're happy just to kind of sit right about where we are.
I guess let's go ahead and talk about the grades, the ages that you service. At what ages can your students start, and how far up into the grade level do you go?
Sure. So we actually begin with 4-year-old pre-K. They have to turn 4 before the first day of school each school year, all the way up through 12th grade.
Wow.
Had some graduates in the past, the last couple of years. We did not have seniors throughout the entire school year, but this year we actually have 3 seniors graduating.
So as I recall, you just are now having groups of kids that have kind of made it from beginning all the way to the end, right?
That is correct, yes. 2 of the 3 seniors that are graduating this year have been with UCA since pre-K or kindergarten.
That is fantastic. I mean, that has to be a great milestone for those of you that have been involved this whole time, right?
I kind of get goosebumps every time I think about it.
That really is a testament to the longevity, that you've had and obviously will continue to have. So I guess go ahead and give us an overview about, Uvalde Classical Academy. What is, first of all, your, I guess, Christian curriculum, classical curriculum? Go ahead and give us, I guess, a description about what sets you aside from public schools or other private schools.
Sure. So, one of the things I'd like to mention is that education of students here at UCA, first of all, besides being biblically based, as far as being taught from a biblical worldview, we consider student attendance here and parent enrollment here as a partnership between the parents, the teachers, and the students. We expect our teachers to be accountable to parents and students in delivering a high-quality Christian classical education, but we also expect parents to be accountable to teachers and to their children for supporting our school programs and allowing us to extend our curriculum into the home when necessary. And then we also expect students to be accountable to not just their parents, but to their teachers in applying themselves to vigorously do their schoolwork and their studies and to take charge in their own learning and not rely on teachers to, hassle them for work. They've got to be accountable to both their parents and their teachers in accepting their responsibility and their part of education. And so that's one of the big things that we're working on at UCA, because we do want to educate our children, not only just instilling that high standard of integrity, but above all else, their godly character, their knowledge of Scripture, and their love of Christ. And, that supersedes everything here. And so we are continually working on not just improving our curriculum, but improving our spiritual guidance and leadership and education here at UCA.
See, I find it very interesting that and great that Uvalde Classical even has to make that statement where you have to say, hey, you know what? It takes 3. It takes a student, it takes the teachers, it takes the parents. We've all got to answer to each other, work together, and that kind of was axiomatic, kind of assumed back in the day, right? And that there's something that's been a social breakdown, I think, in recent generations where, parents blame teachers blame parents, kids blame everybody, and you've got 3 different forces, with, I think, different visions and different approaches. And they really do all it needs to be kind of like a trinity, working together. Absolutely.
Our whole entire education model is modeled after the Trinity. And, another thing, too, that kids, especially with this technology and social media-driven age, kids today in general are growing up being the star, not just as far as, being a famous person, but even from a social media standpoint. When they post something, not only are they viewing what they've posted, but they're starring in what they've posted. And so that's almost taken root in education as far as the child being the center of the classroom. And we try to keep it classical in that our classrooms are knowledge-centered. We want their knowledge of the world, past and present, their ability to study and develop virtue in the students and all of those things. We want that to be knowledge-based. We don't want it to become self-expression based. It's not who we are. And so we're not just adding logic classes, adding Latin classes, and those types of things in order to become a classical school. We're really trying to focus on teaching kids to learn and to have mental discipline and intellectual curiosity so that they can grapple with the lessons and problems of today and the future by assessing the problems and how they were handled in the past. And it's always, I don't want to say astonishing, but I'm often taken aback, when someone will question on maybe our lack of technology in the schools. I'm not saying we don't have any. We use some when it's absolutely necessary. Obviously, we want our students to be able to research and things like that, but we're not going to focus our education around technology and what technology means today. We want their minds to come first.
Now, that's very interesting because there's a line on your website, and actually there's some really great information about Uvalde Classical Academy at uvaldeclassical.org. And then if you go to the About section, I'm going to go ahead and read it directly off there, but here's a quote from your website. It says, "We desire them to recognize, the students, to recognize cultural influences as distinct from biblical and to be unswayed towards evil by the former." I think that just speaks volumes. I mean, teaching your kids to recognize the influences that are around them, and then, using discernment from a biblical perspective, which obviously you can't get in a public school, and you really probably don't get it much in many Christian schools either. But again, that technology and that bombardment of media and social media, that's a really big thing. I think it's leading to a lot of mental distress in our youth at a young age, which just makes them into terrible adults, right?
In some instances, absolutely. And I think one of the things too that we're striving for, especially in this age where we've been dealing with COVID for the better part of 2 years now, and we're trying to teach our students here to not live by and be driven by fear. We've kept school as normal as possible. Our classes, other than that very first spring when COVID hit, of course, when everything was unknown at that time. We've made it a purpose to not close our schools and not do any type of distance learning. We've worked with our parents. Again, it's a partnership, and our parents want kids to be in school, in the classroom learning, and our kids want to be here. And so we've tried to focus on that, on keeping everything that we do at UCA day in and day out as normal as possible.
And again, we're talking to Larri Ann Wright. She's the head of school over at Uvalde Classical Academy at 400 North Getty Street. We're celebrating School Choice Week, highlighting some of the private schools in the Uvalde area. Now, Larri Ann, let's go ahead and just give me a quick snapshot, I guess, of a day in the life at UCA. As headmaster, I'm sure you see it all. I guess give us a rundown of what a student might see, maybe a young student and or an older student.
Sure. So, when the students arrive in the morning, typically they go to their classes, get everything unpacked for that first class of the day. But we start every morning at 8 o'clock. Everyone meets in the UCA Commons, which is our big gathering room here in the main building. And we start with morning chapel and the pledges and prayer. We make any kind of school announcements, and then everybody disperses to their classes. Their classroom attendance would be just like you would see in any other school. Those grammar school students are pretty much in a self-contained classroom all day long, with the exception of, not Spanish, their art, their music, or PE. Then they go to different classes for those. Our fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, they would be in some various classes, including Latin. Our middle and upper school, which is our logic and rhetoric stage students, same thing. They would attend their various classes. They too take art. And instead of music, that's when they begin their Spanish classes. We have extracurricular tennis, golf, and cross country. We do different academic meets through different private school associations, and our tennis players play here locally as well as in San Antonio and other cities. So it's as far as an outside appearance, it very much looks like what your typical school would look like as far as changing classes. The difference is that we are able to incorporate a lot of school-wide activities, pre-K through 12th grade. For example, our Happy Birthday Jesus celebration that we had back in December creates an opportunity for everyone to gather, and they exchange books and ornaments amongst each other after drawing names. They have a great time. They do some activities. Those older students really mentor to those younger students. And, it's just a blessing to be in these hallways every day and see it all happening.
Well, finally, let's get into enrollment, the process of, figuring out if your child, your student is a good fit for UCA. And if so, how do you get more information? How do you enroll? Give us the scoop on all that.
Sure. So parents can go to our website, uvaldeclassical.org, and look on there for all kinds of information. Then there's a link on there for requesting additional information or requesting a school tour. So we would ask that they follow that link and submit a request for a meeting, and families come in. And we hope that when they come, we would like it to be the parents and the students. Even if older students are attending elsewhere, we want the entire family to come in because we want the entire family to see what we're doing, supportive. And so they come in for a school tour. We give them some information, answer any of their questions, and then if they feel like they would like to proceed with the application process, then we submit that information to them through an email, and all of that is done, all the paperwork is done online, and then we do a student assessment to assess where they are. Typically, students might be going, say, into the third grade at whatever school they're attending right now, but because of differences in curriculum, we find that they might be right on, they might be a little bit behind and need a foundation solidified because our curriculum builds every year. It's not just a new set of curriculum that a student can walk into. What they get in first grade is built upon in third grade in a specific way, and so if they've missed that, sometimes they'll need a little reinforcement. So we do complete a full student assessment to ensure the student's going to be successful in the grade level they're supposed to be going into.
Now, let's say I have a student and I'm really, into what you guys are about. You test my child, she's in third grade, but she's coming in at maybe first grade or second grade level for you guys. Is there a way to, like you said, kind of get her caught up, but more on a fast track to where she can still graduate on time? Or is it not that malleable as far as the curriculum goes?
It really depends on the situation there, and too, I will tell you that depends heavily on parental support and involvement. We have had students come in who test a full grade level to 2 grade levels below. They tested, thankfully, in, say, March or so of the prior school year, so that parent had from March until August to really almost basically homeschool their student in addition to where they were already attending school.
Homework? I don't want homework. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, it goes back to that partnership.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Support what we're doing. And so in those instances, yes, then the child has been caught up enough that our teacher can then help them catch up the rest of the way. In other instances, because of maturity level or whatever the case may be, there's been those parents who have opted to say, look, I'm not really sure my kiddo got everything they needed in second grade anyway. Can they just go ahead and repeat second grade? And we're all about that. We're not going to promote based upon social or age. we're going to promote based upon their ability and where they need to be, and if they need to repeat a grade to ensure the optimum success, especially later on in logic and rhetoric stages when things are exponentially difficult, then we're going to do what we need to do. Have there been those cases where it just wasn't feasible for a student to be able to catch up? Unfortunately so. But, we do everything we can. Above everything else, we want UCA to be the right fit for the family from a spiritual standpoint, and we want the family to be a right fit for UCA from a spiritual standpoint, and that takes precedence over everything.
Very nice. And now finally, as much as you want to get into this, I know some details you probably want to have a private conversation with, but as far as tuition, maybe scholarship opportunities, anything you'd like to discuss on that front?
Sure. So our tuition next year ranges anywhere, depending on the grade level, from about $3,900 to $4,300, somewhere in there. But we don't have traditional scholarships, but our board will always consider tuition discounts for those families that are in financial need of such. We've even had some families come in and sponsor another family as far as their child's tuition. So, if the family's a good fit for UCA and UCA is a great fit for the family, then we want to work with that family and see what we can do to help them as far as meeting tuition needs or getting their tuition discounted.
Well, very good. It all sounds really great. So again, the website is UvaldeClassical.org. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Larri Ann, any final thoughts, any other points that we need to make before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I just appreciate you taking your time and including us in School Choice Week.
Well, thank you again for all the valuable information. Again, Larri Ann Wright, the head of school over at Uvalde Classical Academy. The website is UvaldeClassical.org, and we appreciate your time. Thank you so much, okay?
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too, and that's going to wrap it up here with UvaldeRadio.net.